So, welcome to chapter 8 of The Phoenix Within, which is our story where you can become the hero or heroine by simply using your imagination to become part of the tale. So, in the 7 chapters so far, we have been following Morgan, our protagonist, who you can create to be whoever you need Morgan to be. And if you haven't joined us live so far, I tell this story in the first person with minimal description so that everyone listening or reading when it becomes the blog, can fill in the details and make the story more relevant for you. So Morgan was going through a bit of a rut at the start of our story. Life just felt difficult. But then Morgan learned a few new things from a webinar, some books from the library, and a seminar a couple of chapters ago. So Morgan has got themselves a second job, and their view of the world is shifting. Life is up and down, but Morgan feels much more positive about everything because life should be so much more than just the usual born, school, good grades, get a job, get married, have a family, work until you retire with some weekends and maybe 4 weeks off a year if you're lucky. Retire and hopefully have enough to pay for your funeral and some nice bits for the grandkids. So in chapter 7, Morgan woke up on a Thursday morning with a question. Who do I want to be? They then grabbed notepad and pen and just started to write. Morgan's mind wandered through lots of questions and musings until it became a bit much and a walk was needed to clear the head. Morgan didn't notice the letter hanging from the letterbox when they got back from the coffee shop in the evening. So let's find out what happens next and what news the letter will bring. So chapter 8 I have called the Joker card. They say that life is like a pack of cards. Sometimes you draw the aces, other times you draw the jokers. Remember that letter that I didn't notice hanging from the letterbox after getting home last night? Well, I found it after I got home from my cleaning shift this afternoon. You know, I mentioned that perfectly good boat as an analogy for my life. The one that had everything I needed, was comfortable, safe, and just floating along wherever the tide or the wind decided to push it. Well, that boat just got torpedoed and is now floundering on the verge of sinking. The envelope simply had my name written on it, and the letter inside was neatly typed. It was addressed to me, and it simply said, in response to rising costs, new regulations on landlords, and your inconsistencies on paying your rent, I am sorry to inform you that this letter serves as your eviction notice. In line with regulation, you will need to vacate this address within the next 6 weeks in order to avoid escalation of this matter. I look forward to receiving the rent you are owing as well as next month's instalment, or I will be unable to return your deposit. I look forward to hearing from you with regards to this and can provide a reference if you require it. Great. 6 weeks to find a new place to live and also pay 2 months' payments on this place. Well, they can take the deposit for that, I guess. I still haven't received my pay from my old company that should have arrived this week, and there isn't enough in my bank to cover it either. Yes, I will be paid soon for my cleaning role, but I do actually need to eat. Sorry, landlord, my priorities have now shifted. But they also deserve to eat, don't they? And pay their own bills. If I don't pay my rent, then their income is impacted as well. Surely they have contingencies for that? A pot of money set aside for emergency repairs, maybe? They could even sell their properties if they were really desperate. They have options, whereas I literally have nothing. I take off my boots and hang up my coat. Maybe I shouldn't have bought these. These were needed, yes, but bills are supposed to be paid first before things I want, aren't they? And my old boots and coats were still just wearable, with a few more repairs. My notepad, sitting on the table next to the library books, catches my attention, and I suddenly start to feel very angry. I'm not sure why, but when I focus on it, I start to think about all the people who get what they want, but yet when I start to focus on what I want, the things I have now get taken away. First, my partner walked out, then I lost my job, now my home is being taken as well, and it's all outside my control. Yes, I am building the image of what I want, but if I can't even pay for what I have now, how am I supposed to ever pay for the things I want that are even more expensive? How is that fair? Others get everything seemingly given to them on a plate, and I just get everything taken away, regardless of how hard I work or what I do. Breathe, Morgan. The loudness of that voice makes me jump, and it is so shocking that I simply do as I'm told. A few deep breaths. Where does that voice come from? I notice my forehead is feeling really tight. My eyes are sore because of it, so I close them. Breathe. A few more deep breaths, and I am feeling much better. My mind has a tendency to start down routes and keep going, and I can feel the familiar pull of it trying to carry on with that narrative of everything being unfair. It's a powerful pull, and I wonder if others get the same. Now that I think about it, they must do. If they didn't, then people wouldn't rant and rage at shop owners or at other drivers. There wouldn't be shouting matches between spouses or parents and their kids. Arguments wouldn't need to happen or get so heated if people could just catch the red mist as it descended instead of being taken over by it. That would mean that we also wouldn't then feel so bad afterwards. Anger, I find, feels powerful in the moment. But after things have been said and emotions have been heated, we seem to then feel pretty bad. Usually we've said something we didn't want to say or made someone else feel beaten down, belittled, or small because we felt that they should be feeling that way. Either way, we usually either then feel really guilty about the whole thing or we just get more angry at ourselves. But that voice in my head, the one that told me to breathe, it made me instantly calmer. I wonder how many others get that voice. And if they do they listen? Maybe I've always had that voice, but never hear it when in a situation involving other people or situations. This time it was just me in my home reading a letter. So there was nothing else that could raise my anger other than my own mind and thoughts. And I am in control of my thoughts. Yes, I feel really angry that this is happening. But while I have had a part in creating it by not paying my rent on time, I can't now change what has happened. I am being evicted. Black and white fact. I need to find somewhere new to live, and I have 6 weeks to do it. Or 5 weeks and 6 days, as the letter was dated yesterday. So what can I do? I have to find somewhere new to live. I can't stay here. Or I could. But then things will escalate according to the letter. I'm not sure what that means, or what they can do if I do refuse to leave. Physically remove me, wait until I leave one day, break in, change the locks, throw my stuff in the street. At least I don't have much stuff. This place is rented furnished, so I don't have much to move, which is good, as I don't have a car or anyone to help me move it. I think right now it is time for lunch. My mind is wandering, but I can still feel my stomach grumbling. Can I even afford to eat? Yes, I can avoid paying rent for the next 6 weeks and lose my deposit, which is less than 2 lots of rent anyways. But I would still need to raise enough for a new deposit, and the first month's rent up front, which by a quick calculation would be about 8 weeks of work at my current two jobs, if I don't eat or pay any of my other bills that will be wanted next week. I take a deep breath again and look out the window. Well, life is definitely up and down. I get so far forward and then seem to take 100 steps backwards. Then a thought pops into my head. I may not be able to control this eviction notice, but I can decide how I respond to it and what I do next. I get to choose. What are my choices? I take my lunch to the table and open my laptop. I search for properties to rent near here, and my heart sinks. Everything is so much more expensive than I currently pay. I expand the search radius. Things get a little bit cheaper, but it still looks like I would get a lot less for the same amount of money. But yet, all the jobs available are a lot lower wage as well. How does that work? Rent goes up, income goes down. So how can anyone afford to actually rent a place, pay their bills, and still have some money left to feed and buy clothes, to feed themselves and buy clothes? This is crazy. But yet, Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich that it is just as easy to live in abundance as it is to live in poverty. Seems a lot easier to live in poverty than earn more money when all the wages are so low. But I do have some time each day where I could get a third job. I open a new tab and start searching the job sites again. Still the same. Low paid or asking for qualifications I don't have. So what is the answer? My new book, You Were Born Rich, is just to the side of my laptop, so I pick it up and flip through a few of the pages. A small piece of paper falls out and I pick it up. It's a handwritten note that says, to the receiver of this book, if you ever want to know more about how to shift your life around, then get in touch. And then there is an email address. I recognized the name as the speaker from the seminar and instantly put the second half of their email address into my browser and start exploring their website. Lots of images of them standing in front of large audiences, even more testimonials. The stick person graphic features quite heavily, also some links to some articles and seminar recordings. But the bit that catches my attention as I scroll down is a banner that says, "It is your choice." I click it and it opens a new page. There's a diagram of two circles, one inside the other. In the very center of the smaller circle, it says, what I can control. And then outside this inner circle, but within the outer circle, it says, what I can't control. I scroll down. It starts to explain about the things that happen in our lives and how they impact us. But it is our choice whether these impacts are positive or negative. We get to choose whether we let the things upset us or not. Everything has equal amounts of positive and negative in it, and all things are neutral until we individually decide whether they are negative or positive. It gives the example of losing a job. Some people may find that a negative experience, while others may find it positive. The negative response could be fueled by all the thoughts of where the money will come from to pay the bills, whereas the positive response could be the thought that you didn't like the job anyways, and you're now free to find a job that you do like. The only fact is that the person has lost their job. The response is just an opinion. So we choose whether any situation is good or bad. And this choice will be based on our life so far. So our beliefs, morals, and experiences. Which also means that no two people will react in the same way or see a situation in the same way as each other. The article goes on to say that whatever the situation is, we can't control it. All that we can control is how we respond or react to whatever happens. The only things in the world that we have absolute control over is what we think and what we do. Nobody else can control what we think. Yes, we can be influenced by others, but they can't force us to think something. We choose to agree or disagree with them. Everything else, the weather, other people's thoughts or actions, what other people say, we have no control over. Yes, we can try to influence it, but we cannot control it, and therefore we should just let it go and focus on what we can control. So, from my point of view, the fact is that I lost my job. I cannot control the fact that the company was sold, so I had a choice to rage against someone else's decision and get angry and upset like Minimum Effort Guy did, or find a new job. My response was to find a new job. And now I've been served an eviction notice. I can choose to rage against it, put my foot down, refuse to move, or I can take responsibility for my part in it and find somewhere new to live. It feels like the more powerful and validating thing to just rage and refuse to move, especially as it is looking almost impossible that I'll find somewhere suitable and close enough to my current roles to not need to pay out for transport every day. But equally, what point does raging prove? I'm still going to need somewhere new to live at some point. I'm so confused with all this. It does make sense about us being what we think and how our thoughts dictate how we feel. But we can choose our responses to things. But how can I respond to these things when I don't meet the qualifications for a new role and I don't earn enough to build a deposit and be accepted to pay rent? It feels impossible. maybe I should email that speaker. The note does say to do that, so I do. I introduce myself so they know who I am, and then write an overview of everything going on to give some context. I then ask what I can do to make these two things line up. My income with what I need to be able to find a new home, and how to get a better paying job without the requested qualifications. Sent. It is now dinner time, so I wander to my kitchen to see what's on the menu. There isn't a wide choice, I'll be honest, but I rustle up what I can and sit down to enjoy it while watching some of the seminar recordings on the speaker's website. It's Friday evening, so I'm not expecting a response to my email until at least Monday. My mind drifts to what things I could do tomorrow to help my situation. Maybe a walk to the library, see what advice they can give or if they know of other options for somewhere to live. That sounds like a good idea. I finish dinner, have a shower, and spend the rest of the evening watching some more of the videos before heading to bed with a book. Saturday, I sort my weekly admin and also spend some time at the library. They give me some websites to look at for other accommodation ideas and make a few job suggestions for me to follow up on to fill in the gaps around my cleaning and coffee shop. Something interesting also happens while I'm there. The person comes up to me, introduces themselves, and apologizes for interrupting. They have an idea of a way I can earn some money around my other commitments by simply showing people a quick presentation. For each person that then signs up to this opportunity, I would then earn a commission, and the amount would vary based on the services that person took. It sounded slightly too good to be true, but at the moment, I would try anything. They ask if I would like to hear more. I say yes, and they ask if I would like to go to a nearby coffee shop where we could talk about it further. I glance at the librarian for reassurance, who gives a little nod. I think I was expecting a massive shaking of their head, so a nod from them, and I agree. 15 minutes later, we're sat in a quiet corner of a coffee shop, one of the ones owned by the same person as the one I work in, and they are showing me the presentation with drinks they bought for both of us. It really is simple. They say there is lots of support and I can show the presentation to whoever I think would be interested. Some of their team also knock on doors, hand out flyers, and speak to anyone they meet in the street. There is a low joining fee, and for the first few presentations I give, there will be someone there to go through it with me. What's not to love? And the commission is pretty good as well. Just 4 people sign up and I replace my current monthly wages. Consider me signed up. There and then, I fill in the form, pay the money through the online form, and have a couple of short training videos to watch, and then I'm good to go. I say that I'll get those watched this evening and start thinking about people I could speak to. They give me some ideas to get me started, and then we go our separate ways. I do a quick food shop, comparing prices, looking for deals, planning meals with the lowest price, but that will last a few meals. I usually do get some bits of food from the coffee shop shifts, but if there is any left over in the evenings, but I make sure that I don't rely on that. Once home, I make a quick small lunch and sit down at my laptop to do my training and prove my identity. 30 minutes later, I'm all done. So I send a message to the person to say so. They reply and mention that a few of the team are going door knocking in about an hour's time, and they'd be happy for me to tag along. I clear up my lunch stuff, check a map to ensure I know where I'm going, and then put a water bottle, my laptop, notepad, and a couple of snacks in my bag before heading out to meet the others. They're a nice bunch, and where they're door knocking is only about 20-minute walk. It's a nice day, a little bit breezy, but no threatening clouds. And I simply just follow them. I'm introduced, say who I am, who I met to get started with all of this, and I just stand back as I watch them knocking on the doors, speaking to the people, booking appointments, and a couple of times we even get invited straight in. Happy to do it there and then. It was a really successful day, and it was really fun. I even managed to sign up a customer and make myself 250 quid in the process. The person I signed up with was very generous, arranging a few callbacks for us to do later next week and ensuring that any questions I had were answered. The team members, as I said, were all really lovely. Lots of stories to share, and I really enjoyed meeting these new people. We spent about 2 hours knocking on doors, and then I headed home and had a shower. I then explored the website of this new opportunity. Lots of videos to watch and things to read, which were all very interesting and only built my enthusiasm even further. I headed to bed filled with hope that things were going to turn around. Sunday morning, I spent some time checking the job sites for any new roles, having my breakfast, and then reading some more of psychocybernetics before my shift at the coffee shop. I decided to take my laptop with me as well as my book and head off early enough to make sure I get everything ready for the regular customers that are always in early. I ensure all the pastries, cakes, and sandwiches are laid out nicely to entice people to buy them, and that everything I need is ready to go. At 10:30, I open the door and greet the older gentlemen who are always in as soon as we open on Sunday. They both ask for a surprise drink and to try one of the new pastries that arrived yesterday. I check for allergies and then decide to make their coffees from oat milk with a shot of honey, whipped cream to top, and a dusting of chocolate powder over the top. I serve them nervously and watch as they inspect my creations and then start to get through the cream, asking what I would call this creation. A honey oat latte, I declare. The cream has been eaten or stirred in, and they both take a sip. Both smile and pull approving faces, taking a few more sips before giving their verdict. Definitely one for the specials board, the older gentleman says, and then the other man agrees. I smile and proceed to write honey oat latte on the special board for the day and make a note of how I made it so I can share with the owner and the other baristas. This was something that the new owner brought in recently for the early Sunday barista to try a new idea for customers to try. It's available on a if you like it, you pay for it. If you don't like it, you simply get to choose another drink from the board basis. And it seems to be really popular. Few more customers come in, and the special drink seems to be well received across the day. And during a quiet period, I get some time to sit with the older gentleman and chat, one of my favourite parts of the week. I excitedly tell him about my new venture, and we organise a time later in the week to show him the presentation when my mentor is also available, and he asks if anything else is new. I tell him about my eviction notice, and he suggests to look for properties that need someone to look after them. He says it's fairly common now for people to need to move elsewhere for a time, but not long enough to warrant letting or selling their property, so they just simply get people to house it. Sounds like an amazing idea. He knows someone else who does it and gives me their details to get in touch. I start to feel a little bit more hopeful about my situation, and snippets of information pass through my mind, reminding me that everything always works out as long as I just let things flow. When we resist or fight against things, we block the good that is trying to reach us. I smile at that thought and take a deeper breath to secure it in my mind. The owner pops in during the afternoon when it's quiet and asks to try my new creation. I have made it a few times today now, so I am pretty confident in making it, but still a little nervous as I present it to him and wait for him to try it. I make one for myself at the same time, and we sit in the shop window to catch up from the week. He congratulates me on my new venture and also organises a time to see the presentation later in the week. He also agrees with the older gentleman about the house sitting idea and also suggests that something work-related might show itself later in the week. No more information than that, but he thinks something will show up. At the end of the shift, I get everything sorted and organised, lock up, and head home. I debate with myself about a bath and eventually decide that one bath really isn't going to hurt. I still have some bath stuff left, so I make sure I run the nicest bath possible and enjoy it for as long as possible while watching some more of the videos from the speaker's website. I then tuck into the couple of pastries left over from the shop and settle down to spend the rest of the evening reading. And that's chapter 8. Definitely one where choice really comes into it. Morgan had a choice. We all have a choice. Something can happen and we can either choose to rage against it or we can choose to just accept it and respond to it. Everything's always a choice. But I wonder what this work opportunity is going to be. That's just into my head right now. So let's see what happens next week. I do hope that you all have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to seeing you here with me live on Tuesday. 8:30, same time, same place. I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening. Chatty bye.